everyone. Welcome to the AFT show, episode number 3. Tonight's show is presented by American Honda. I am Scotty Dubler, the voice of American Flat Track and the co-host of the podcast Off the Groove. Welcome to what's going on right now during quarantine time. We're going to talk to some flat trackers, and like I said, tonight's show brought to you by American Honda. So we have none other than 2 of the American Honda riders. Let's bring in our first guest. You guys know him as Hammer and Hank. He's got big number 17 on the number plate. You guys know him, Henry Wiles. What's happening, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
And it's good. I'm just I'm ready to be doing some racing, but the next best thing is to talk to some racers. So we'll bring you in. How's it going up there in Michigan?
It's going real well.
Yeah.
Yep, just kind of hanging out around the home front here and working on the house. Clean my, I've shot back my garage 5 times, so it's almost like, I got to go run around in some mud or ride the bike through some mud, so I have something to do.
Yeah. Well, I heard you had a baby on Saturday. You got welcomed a little girl into the family.
Yeah, I don't really have that kind of time now. Everything's changed, so
Yeah.
it's been awesome. Everything's been really awesome with both the mom and the baby, and it was a great experience. So I'm she doesn't cry hardly ever. we got lucky. I said, wouldn't that be something if she was just like this docile creature? And she looked at me and she kind of laughed. She's like, I don't think that could happen, because I'm a little wound. She's a little wound. So
So her name is, let's see, it's Winnie Marie Wiles, right?
Yeah.
And how much did she weigh when she was born?
7 pounds, 12 ounces.
Right on. And it was Saturday, correct?
Yep, 18.
Cool. And your wife's birthday is actually on Monday, so you got a big week going on. You got some birthdays gonna be close together for a while, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's and then her grandma, I guess, Winnie's grandma, Kristen's mom, is in April as well. So
wow.
Yeah, a lot of April birthdays.
Cool. So there's other pictures of kids behind you. I know you have a son already, but I heard, before we got into this thing that you had to
you got
your
little
time
Winnie.
in.
They're in the ultrasound pit. Okay. So we haven't got a new one hung up yet. We just got home about last night this time. So
yeah, well, that's cool. So you had to budget your time to get to come on here because the kids were using the high-speed internet to be playing some games. Are you playing with them or are you just
no, I haven't.
Or what?
I haven't taken up the COD yet. I don't know. They're Brett, and he's playing a different one right now. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm not much of a gamer. I think I'd get rocked on there, and that would kind of piss me off to get beat over and over and over. So I just I stick a little bit more within my wheelhouse.
I gotcha. So
like when my friends, I remember when I lived with my buddies that went to college, they'd stay up all night playing video games, and that was my first full year as a pro. And they'd still be playing when I'd get up in the morning to go to work. Wow. And I just never bridged the gap since then.
Yeah. I played for a little while, and it consumes you. So I just had to quit cold turkey. I don't know if I didn't go to Gamers Anonymous or anything like that. I just stopped playing. Yeah. I can't even pick up a controller right now because I don't want to get into it again.
Yeah, these guys, they don't know how to act right now if there's not a video game controller in their hand. I think they sleep about 12 hours and play video games for the other 12.
Wait, you got to throw some food in.
No, it's all good. I would like to, I'll even go heads up in a game of horse. I could control that outcome a little better. I've actually been practicing a little bit. I got my spots, and I figure if I can go around and toosh, keep dropping them in, these guys will look at me like, what's how's this? But it's a home court advantage. The driveway is a little downhill, so you got to take into consideration a few things. There's a tree branch in the way of the one, so you got to have your spots.
Right. So there's a bunch of pictures of boys back there. So how many boys are living with there, and what's their relationship to you?
Well, we've got 3 boys and 1 girl now.
So what's their names?
Caden is the oldest.
Okay.
Breton is next,
Yeah.
and then Henry, and
Yeah.
then Winnie. So
Right on.
yeah.
So any future riders right there or
Well, interestingly enough, all these guys know how to ride. All these guys can ride bikes, and they've raced a little bit.
yeah,
They're athletes too, so it's fun.
right on.
But yeah, Caden, he's a good wrestler. Breton, he starts on the basketball team, and he's got good grades. So that's why I got to go out and have some spots. I know I'm not going to beat him straight up. He's better than me. I got to get lucky and
No,
I got to play the odds and be smart. Use my dad abilities.
there you go. There you go. So what was it like having a baby in this pandemic time that we're going through right now? Was it scary?
Yeah, I mean, looking back now, my wife, I'm still trying to rub her earlobes and telling her it's going to be okay because it's like, oh man, we shouldn't have let the cleaning lady in there. What was the cleaning lady doing in there? Nothing needed to be cleaned. And I know I would have liked to kick her out because I didn't go to sleep till about 4 a.m. that night, and she was in there bright and early hitting this tin trash can with her mop, like, right in front of me where I was sleeping. And I was like, what's going on? What's happening? And
Yeah,
it was just the cleaning lady. So I would have for sure liked to kick her out of the room.
I'm sure.
But yeah,
So
you're just paranoid like that. You're
right.
like, it's like keeping don't want the seal broken here. But it, luckily enough, it was really calm. There wasn't, I don't even know if there was any other people on that floor other than us. So,
Wow.
and the four nurses or five nurses, whatever they had. So, and even we were talking to the nurses too, and she said, we've been keeping our kids chilled out, and I've been taking all the precautions, here at work, and so they said it's kind of like our own little bubble here too. So that was nice and a little bit um, relieving to know that.
So with all that going on, and you have a baby that was on the way. Now you have the baby. Have you been out there training or riding, or just trying to do like physical activities to stay in shape and stay ready?
Yeah, honestly, I've really had it shut down. I haven't. I rode an XR 100. That's in the back. I tore up the backyard a couple of days, and now I'm back to putting it together. So
Yeah.
I really haven't rode, and I'd like to, but there's you always run that risk too of if you actually did get hurt. I don't think I would. And I'm not worried about that, but I've just been more not going anywhere because my wife was about to pop, and I definitely didn't want to. I wanted to put the chances in my favor and do just stay around home because we didn't need to do anything. We luckily enough we were in a good financial place to where we weren't going to lose our house if we didn't go to work. So it's been really a blessing.
Right.
Got to just, I keep like thinking, man, this is like too good to be true. You're telling me I could just sit around the house guilt free and not do anything? That doesn't last long, but you get stuff done around the house and all the stuff that she's been wanting me to do. We were way ready for the baby. So
Awesome.
it was a good time.
All right, that's cool, man. I'm glad things are working out for you. Let's talk some racing for a little bit. You're now riding for Richie Morris Racing, the American Honda back team. We got some help from Al Lam, Dallas Honda, and stuff like that. But how did you and Richie get together in the off season, and when did that go down?
Uh, that actually went down when I was doing the Baja 1000.
Okay.
Richie called me or texted me or whatever, and I was actually talking to him down there. So we talked for a few days and kind of trying to get on the same page, and yeah, it's been going well so far. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to get going. He actually called me right before, didn't even know I was doing this, but uh, gave me a shout and trying to talk to me about the game plan. And I said, hey, hold on just to jump onto this interview. And but yeah, it was like I didn't even want to stop him. I was like, yeah, I want to hear the new game plan and when we're going to be riding next. And all these types of things. But, it's really with all this stuff going on, I hate to sound negative, but
Right.
I worry, like, are we even going to get to have much of a season or a season at all? And I hope we do, because, we all love this, but, at the end of the day, you got to try to keep everybody's best mind at hand. And, like I said, just coming right down to, I didn't even see, like, everybody knew I was in the hospital for a delivery because there's nobody in there.
Right.
Like, they said, "Oh, hey, how you doing? Did you have a baby today?" "Oh yeah, had her last night." Or, and
Right.
they knew why I was there because nobody's in that place. But, what happens if there was a little breakout into a place and then somebody got into a bad wreck, or, you're just, it's kind of scary. It's just a crazy time, I think. And I think it's like, my little gal will be, learning this in her history class or whatever about what all
The
went on.
year she was born. Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. So you mentioned the Baja for just a second. I had you on the podcast Off the Groove, and you talked about it. How is that? I mean, you went down there and you ended up winning the thing. You was on a good team with a good group of riders.
Yeah, no, we didn't win it.
Well, I thought you won your class.
No, we did well in our class.
Okay, all right.
But no, we didn't end up winning. We were in the pro bike class, so
okay.
like the open class. So
okay.
Yeah, there's a Honda team that kicks everybody's butt every year. Justin Morgan and those guys. But what I had heard, what somebody had told me, and I never looked this up because it was just like a fun thing for me, and I don't really know if I'm going to make a future in Baja, but if I honestly did have the speed, it might be something fun to go do. But and I would do it.
Yeah.
But yes, there was just people told me that I had the fastest corrected time in like the first 60-mile section that we did. I started the race.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's
yeah. Like I say, I have no idea if that's real. I don't know how to look it up. I never looked it up. I mean, maybe I should. I don't.
Yeah. Well,
I asked the boys at Honda about it. I told them to look it up to see if it was real, but never heard back.
What I thought was cool last time we talked, you told us about going to American Honda out there in California. You got to see Nicky Hayden's bike that he won the Springfield TT on. He sat on it and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, that's a once in a lifetime deal too, right?
Yeah, man, that was so cool. Because I obviously was a Nicky Hayden fan. I am a Nicky Hayden fan, and it was a really cool thing because I remember seeing it. I saw him win those races actually.
Right.
I didn't see him win the TT, but I saw him win the 4th of July and the Labor Day short track. So that was really cool. That was like right when I was coming in as a professional, and I was just on the kind of the cusp. I think I was actually one spot out from making the Springfield main event. So I watched him, and I think, I get the two confused now, but yeah, I know there was one of those short tracks. I don't know if it was the 4th of July or the Labor Day, but him and Kevin Barnes were out there, and Barnes led most of that race, I believe, and Nicky ended up getting him. But man, he was just riding the wheels off that thing, and I always remember that. And to be able to sit on that bike, to me, it was like I was still, kind of starstruck just because I watched all that go down. It was pretty neat.
What else was cool that was in the American Honda? I'm sure you had
everything.
The RS750s were there too, right? The old factory Honda bikes.
Yeah, I mean, everything there is awesome. You always hear of Honda and just being spoke so highly of, and then when you go out there and see everything firsthand, they showed me the secret garage, and that's not really a secret, but they've got all these cars and just everything that Honda does. It's not just the motorcycle stuff, but everything they do is pretty first class. So that was pretty neat to see everything. But yeah, I got to sit on Bubba Schobert's RS750 too. That was pretty neat. I think cool. if I had to race that bike, I would have made a few modifications. I felt pretty big on it, on his.
Yeah. Wait, he's a little guy. So speaking of that, you're kind of a bigger guy. You're gonna be riding the 450s in the AFT singles class. You're kind of a shoe in to win the series, is what everybody's talking about. But I don't know that you've ridden a 450 on a mile. If you had, it had to have been when you were an amateur, right?
Yeah, well, I rode the Springfield mile on a 450 when, right before I went, got my expert license
Okay.
in 2002. I think the last time I rode 450 on a mile was DuQuoin in '05. I actually remember that race. I pulled a good start in the heat race, and coming out of turn two, Kevin Atherton was in a full tuck underneath the bar, giving me the go sign, and just I just always remember that because Kevin on a mile on that little 450,
Yeah.
phenomenal. Like he didn't even put his foot down at Springfield Mile when he had that Woody Kyle Yamaha, that wood
Right.
frame deal. He just come into the corner, bro.
Never let off
At
either.
the end of the race, it started losing power, so I was back shifting the thing, and I just died laughing because, of course, you did, Kevin.
Right, of course.
Like I was wide open all the way around until I had to start back shifting, and then I just roll out a little bit and let it breathe.
He's so much fun to watch. So,
Especially on that thing. I mean, when you
I
watch a
bet.
guy just hold the thing in there and bend it off in there and never put his foot down, you're like, I want to do that one time.
Yeah, no kidding. So I was looking at your stats, man. You set a lot of big time numbers. You've won 30 Grand Nationals in your career. 26 of them were on a single cylinder motorcycle, according to the way I read. Your first one was back in 2004, but your last one on a Honda was in 2013. So you've rode the new bikes for RMR a little bit down in Florida, Evolution, stuff like that. What's the biggest difference between 2013 when you last won on a Honda and 2020?
Well, I was at Peoria TT, and
Okay,
you know,
your
so that's,
playground.
yeah. But yeah, that was a fun day.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's the same. It's different, but the same. We just got to get the bike set up. I think on some of the smaller short tracks and some different things like that, I think it'll be pretty good. But on some of the car track stuff, I think we're going to have to do a little bit more work. Some of the clay stuff maybe, but I think we've got a direction that we're going to go next that we're going to test. So as soon as we get back rolling again, we're going to get to it and figure it out. So I'm really not too worried about getting it figured out. We got to get to work, and sometimes you don't really know until you go and you got to try some stuff, and you're like, well, how competitive are we? So in some of the tracks we were riding on offered different things, and we thought, well, we went to that track and we're pretty good. We went to that track, we're pretty good, but then we'll go to this track and it's like, ooh, not so good there. So, okay, well, there's a problem we got to fix. So.
Gotcha. Do you have one set mechanic that helps you out on RMR? Or is it a whole team effort, or have you figured out the dynamics yet? I mean, it's so
yeah,
early.
I've got a couple guys that work with me. Mike Lozano and Shane Martin are my mechanics and team leaders. So,
Okay.
yeah, those are my guys, and we have a good relationship, amongst us. And Mike's been around a long time. Mike Lozano has been in the game for a long time, so he's pretty knowledgeable about everything from engines to electronics to racing. So when I come in and I'm telling him something, he's able to see it. So I think that's going to be crucial too when we're doing some of these testing and then go racing. So everybody's getting a feel for it, and it's shaping up nicely. So I'm looking forward to it. I really hope we get to race. It stink to, not be able to get a lot of races in or whatever. But hopefully once the weather comes around here, this stuff will start drying up and we can start opening the valve.
Yeah, when this stuff goes away, we'll get back to racing. From
At
everything I've
least
heard
some
from
Galesburg short tracks,
that,
or
yeah, anything, right?
something.
So
Yeah,
they're saying when we get
I
back
got
to
a track in the backyard now. If you guys want to come over, wear your mask, stay outside.
yeah,
And
and
once the green flag goes,
you'll be lapping us every few laps, so we have to wear a mask, right?
yeah.
Oh man, so they're saying when we get back to racing, they're pretty committed to getting 18 rounds in. So it might be a busy,
Yeah.
hectic season when we get going, or
Yeah.
when we get going, I should say. But is there one race you're looking forward to more than any of the rest? I mean, is it Peoria because you always win there, or what?
There's a lot of tracks I'm looking forward to riding the 450 at, because I think, the 450 racing is great, and it's going to show up real fast. I think if you're not able to ride your motorcycle how you need to do it to be up front. So
Right.
I think, there's what's good about the 450 class is I think there's honestly a handful of guys that can go out there any week and win, where in the twins class, it might be interesting this year. I don't know, because there's been some changes over the winter, but there's I think less guys in the twins class that are going to be challenging for a win week in and week out.
So who do you think is going to be your stiffest competition in the AFT singles class in 2020?
Like I said, I think honestly there's a handful of guys that, depending on the track, they can run up front.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I could narrow it down to 2 or 3 guys, because there's a lot of guys that they're seasoned guys,
Right.
So
Right. I gotcha. Well, this next one's kind of a social media type question that people have been talking about. If you win Peoria and on your single, on your American Honda, RMR Honda, and Jared Meese wins on his factory Indian, would you be up for a grudge match if somehow somebody lets us do it after both main events, take a quick break? Would you race?
Is that even a question? We all know the answer to that question, don't we?
I just wanted to hear you say it.
Yeah. I mean, whatever you guys want to do.
How about
you want to have an egg catching contest or wrestling matches? I'm in. Let me know. Time and place.
A 3-lap shootout.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to see it.
I'm getting better on the home court, so.
Yep. Game of horse. Well, Henry, man, we appreciate you stopping by. I know the kids are dying to get back on the video games, but hey, we'll see you soon, hopefully. And congrats on the new baby. Hope your wife had a happy birthday, and you guys enjoy the evening. And man, we'll see you down the road. All right.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, that's Henry Wiles, the winningest TT rider in history, and his teammate also rides the American Honda RMR Honda team. It's Cole Zabala. Cole's number 51. He's rode for RMR already, and he's one of the young guns coming up, and he's joining us now. And Cole, I like that big red Honda shirt on. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Scotty. Thank you, first of all, for having me on.
Of course.
About it. I've just been kind of doing my own thing around town. The same old thing. I work, and I'm essential, so I get to go to work and build decks and fences. And on the weekend, one weekend, I went down to Florida to grab a bike, and so I can keep riding. So ever since I got back, I've been doing some short tracking and TT and doing some moto.
So you still living right outside St. Louis, and you say you're essential. Is that your new nickname, or are you talking about you're an essential worker?
I'm an essential worker.
Oh, so are you still working in a motorcycle shop?
No, not a motorcycle shop. I build decks and fences now.
Oh, right on. That's cool. That's a lot of hard work, man.
It's fun. I mix concrete and, carry 80-pound bags of concrete up hills sometimes. So, I mean, I definitely treat it as a workout.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of fun. I work with, Kyler Adams.
Yep. Number 92, right? Or he was 92.
Yep. Yeah. I work with, excuse me. I work with his dad.
Okay. All right. Yep. I didn't know that's what he did. Does he work with you too?
Well, I work for him. So
okay.
He's boss man. And
Kyler's the boss man, or his dad is?
Oh, Kyler's dad's boss man.
Okay.
So it's fun. Our schedules match up, and it's fun. We make it a good time.
That's awesome. So I've seen a lot of your social media posts. You're training like probably more than any of the other riders I've been watching right now. Are you just that ready to get back on the bike, or is that your new mentality going into 2020?
I mean, I've always trained pretty hard. You know, it's just something I love to do. I love to run, work out, you know, be active. I think that's part of like the wrestler in me, you know, just nonstop going. And it's kind of the same thing this year, but I'm amping it up a little bit. So I'm doing more runs. I went for a few like 8 mile runs, and just on days I feel like kind of taking a day off, I would do a shorter run or just do a lift session in my basement. Like I've invited Dallas Daniels and Kyler and Blake Steinwagner, a couple other guys to come over and hit the weights that I have in the basement, just so we can all like stay in shape.
So I know some other guys have wrestled, including your teammate.
Hmm.
He can manhandle the motorcycles. Jared Meese is, he's been known as a wrestler. So is there anything you can take from wrestling and bring it into racing?
There's a lot of mental prep,
Okay.
just mental toughness. You don't break as easy when things get tough. You don't back down. It's kind of the same thing in a race. You get 3/4 into a rough track race, and you just want to like quit and slow down, but you got to break through that wall, and that pertains a lot to racing from wrestling, and also like training aspect. When you train, you're trying to go as hard as you can for as long as you can. So you got your stamina's got to be there. Wrestling always taught me how to work out pretty much
Right
and
on.
get the most out of you.
So you wrestled all the way through high school, or did you wrestle after high school?
I wrestled 2 years of middle school, seventh and eighth grade, all
Okay.
4 years of high school, and then I still go back to the high school and help out the team.
That's cool, man. Right on. I like that. So you sent us some clips of you practicing and riding. That track looks like a lot of fun. Where you been riding at?
So when I went to Florida to grab the bike, I stopped through at Moto Anatomy, Johnny Lewis, and
Okay.
stayed the night there. And then he watered the track and prep, so it was cool. I got to thank him, and that was the first time I ever got to ride a short track, and it was a lot of fun. So then I packed up Sunday morning at 5:30 and went home and drove the 14 hours. And the following weekend, I rode at Bedrock, and I rode at Taylorville Motocross Track, um, and there was one other place I forgot. But
Have you rode out there at Ride Organics up there too by you guys too, right?
yeah, yeah,
That's
I've tried to get out there just with all this the pandemic going on. A lot of the neighbors are kind of calling in noise complaints and stuff, so that's kind of closed down
okay.
right now. But when it opens up again, I'm definitely going to be out there shredding.
Right on. So again, today's episode is brought to us by American Honda. You've been on with RMR for a little while now. What's it like riding for that team with help from American Honda? What's that like? What's that feel like as a rider?
It's awesome. You look at Supercross, and like American Honda's like the number one team you ever want to ride for, and now that they're in dirt track and I'm one of the riders on the team, like it's I'm feel pretty blessed to be able to do all this and kind of climb up the ladder slowly and get to meet these guys that I looked up to. So it's been awesome.
That's cool. Let's talk about last year just a little bit. I know a lot of people got to see, but Mikey Rush and the RMR team, and you also went to the wind tunnel. The footage we had was from Mikey Rush climbing on board that thing. But then after the camera stopped, you got your turn, and they said you spent even more time than Rush did. He wasn't there for very long because it was in between races, but
Yep.
I guess it was closer to you. So I've never been to a wind tunnel. The video footage is so cool, man. It's really neat to watch. What was the first thing that you learned from that experience?
Get as close as you can to the bike. So, like going into the wind tunnel, I was thinking about how it could be, and one thing I didn't realize is how much the wind actually hits you. Because I was thinking about, okay, I've been on a mile, I felt the winds on a mile, and maybe it'll be the same, maybe a little more, but the winds were a lot greater. You felt a lot more like you were just a parachute on the bike.
Did it feel like it was going to blow you off of the motorcycle?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, you on tight.
So, did you learn anything about where you keep your throttle hand and where you keep your other hand? I mean, is that some of the things you guys were trying to learn?
Yeah, we tried different positions and stuff, but I mean, really, it's the same as what everybody does. You just kind of get as close as you can to the bike and kind of cut the wind. There's nothing really to do with it.
I raced, but it was a long time ago. But I also remember you also try to keep your feet flat. A lot of people when you ride, you have your toes pointed down. Well, that's just a wind drag. So,
Right.
did you learn anything like that with your feet, your foot position either?
Well, I always keep my feet flat, just because. So that's the position I was in the whole day. They told me to get in your mile position and kind of stay there,
Okay.
just because we were trying different things, but the rider himself had to be the same.
Oh, okay. So you weren't really changing rider positions. You're changing stuff on the motorcycle.
Right, that was my part.
Okay.
Mikey was the rider
Okay.
change.
I got you. Well, that's cool, man. Do you think that helped the RMR team for the rest of the season? That was about halfway through the year last year, right?
I think so. I think it was, but I think it helped a little bit. We got a little bit more understanding of how how the air moves and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just such a cool experience, and Al was gracious enough to let us join in with his big red and his land speed stuff. So that was cool to see all the streamers go on that guy.
So you got to stick around to watch that too.
Yeah,
That,
yeah, I did.
that's cool. I would love to do that, man. It sounds like a whole lot of fun. So let's talk about some racing stuff. You changed teammates. Mikey Rush moved on, and I got Henry Wiles. So you go from one awesome veteran of our sport to another awesome veteran of our sport. How are things going so far with Henry Wiles? Or do you guys, we haven't done a whole lot since Daytona, but are you in contact with Henry? I know he just had a baby and all that fun stuff, but what's it like so far being a teammate to Henry Wiles?
So far, we get along super well. We text quite often. Actually, we were talking yesterday about his little girl that was just born, and then and Sunday I actually drove a little bit north to Springfield and met his dad so he can get Henry's practice bike, and just he's been painting the house and riding bikes with little Henry. So we've been kind of keeping in contact there, and down in Florida, we bonded really well. We were working in the shop, and we went road in Orlando with Mies for a day, and just kind of just really just chilling. It's been fun getting to know him.
Tell me one thing that you've learned already that you didn't know before he was your teammate.
Um, so we were testing one day, and the track was changing. It was starting to get a little rough. It been raining down there, so it was soft, and my line was kind of staying the same. And he gave me some pointers on how the track changes and where to go and what to look for. So that was pretty cool of him to share right off the bat, and just kind of open up the door for me to ask anything I want, and he's gonna shoot me straight. So it's cool. I get to learn from a veteran that's been doing it forever.
So your highlight last year, according to me and according to the results, was a sixth place at the Springfield TT. Looking back at 2019, that had to be a super cool night because you're from Illinois, and that was your best finish of the year.
Yeah, yeah, that was a super fun night. I remember it like it was yesterday. I grabbed dirt from the track after the race and put it in a bottle. Sixth place is not like where I want to be. This is the best I've been, but I want to be on top. But I mean, it was a highlight for sure. I'm happy with how I rode, and I was riding fourth for a while, and I got exhausted. So after that race, I definitely amped up my training and made sure it didn't happen again. But yeah, Springfield was awesome. Sixth place, and then I got a couple sevenths and an eighth and some inside the top tens. But this year I'm looking to make those into some podiums and top fives. Being consistent up there.
So I think also another goal, maybe to make every main event, that's going to be tough too because that class, that AFT singles class, it is stacked. I think we had Henry Wiles on here earlier, and he said there's a number of riders. I mean, maybe more than two hands that can win at any given night. So that class is stacked. So I think first things first, make every main event. then top
Yeah,
fives, and then podiums, man. I think your work's cut out for you, but I think you're ready to do it.
for sure. Yeah, I think so too. I've been putting a lot of effort into getting my program where it needs to be for this season, and I think I'm ready. I'm right there, and I feel great. My riding's been great. I've been training a lot on and off the bike. I've been doing everything right. I just started a mental coach regiment with a friend of mine, so we're starting to dabble into like mental training and stuff, and kind of help get your head straight and what to do when you start getting flustered on race day if it does happen, and just exercises like that'll help me. It's the little things right now that's kind of holding me back, and we've been working on it all.
So another thing that's new in 2020 is timed races. Have you mentally been thinking about that? And I know physically, you've said over and over that you're physically ready to go, but now you can focus on a X amount of minute lap, a race plus 2 laps. Is that easier for you to prepare for, or is it different to prepare for?
It's a little different just because you can't count as many laps. It could be 16 laps, it could be 17, 18. You never know how many laps it's going to be. You get a rough estimate, but I mean, when you get to the timed races, it's the way I train for it is I set a timer on my motos, and then that's the time I do my heats and my semis, my main, whatever. I kind of go through a race day, and I treat that on my motos, or when I go ride flat track, I do the same thing. Try to ride like short tracks. I think are like 8-10 minute mains, if I'm not mistaken. But that's kind of what I've been doing, and actually been doing a little longer duration, just so
Right.
you get 100%, 100% of the race.
Well, what about what you eat, what you consume? I mean, are you, as of right now, we're going racing at the end of May. So are you already watching what you're eating right now, or is it something that you slowly build up for to when we start the season?
Honestly, I'm not really watching what I eat right now.
Right on.
uh, I eat what I want to eat, and I just train. I know I should watch what I eat, eat healthy, but I love cheeseburgers and I love French fries, and I'm not a big soda drinker, but I take a couple sips of soda, but it's mostly water, and like I've got this nutritional drink called Taka that's like 32, 37 whole foods of your daily whole foods you should consume, and that
Yep.
helps with like energy and focus and all that stuff. It's like an all day energy, and there's no crash. It's awesome stuff, and my local chiropractor that I get adjustments from, turned me on to it. So he helps me out and keeps me aligned, and it's awesome. So
Right on. So you say you're still working, but what about in the evenings? I mean, with this pandemic, everybody's staying inside. Are you watching a lot of TV? You playing some video games? What are you doing to pass the time?
I have not watched a single TV show,
Wow.
movie,
Wow.
anything since this has gone on. I've been busy getting home from work, and then after that, I work out. Some days, most days, I work out, and then me and my buddies kind of hang out, work on some stuff. Like last night, I went over to a buddy's house and tore a clutch apart in his 250, and before that, me and my buddy Ian that I've been friends with, trying to get another Red Rider back in the trails. So we're on that, and just side work. I love staying busy, so I've been kind of taking precautions and keeping my 6 feet. Hands washing and sanitizing and doing everything I can. But
Man, sounds like you're busy. Sounds like you're ready to go, man. We appreciate you stopping by here on the AFT show, and I can't wait to get back to the racetrack. But this is the next best thing: talking some racing, finding out what you've been doing, man. Thanks a lot for coming on. Of course, today's show is brought to you by American Honda. You're one of the Red Riders, and we appreciate it, Cole. And we'll see you at the track soon.
awesome. Thank you, Scotty.
this?
This is happy anniversary.
Hey, honey, any chance you want to swap places?